hear what Manuel, who comes in after her, had to say. So I let him talk a little bit. This is Manuel. Manuel y Tonisha. Señorita Tonisha, she say, ¿Qué es su problema for your baby? My baby, Maria Esperanza de Morales, is beautiful girl, soft coffee cheek, tiny finger, night sky in eyes. But she is born with, how you say, circle in heart. In Nuevo Leon, where I am from, and my wife Elena, there is no money, no medicine for my baby. Hospital in Monterrey say doctors in Norte America can heal the baby, so we come to here where my cousin live. But medicine is very expensive, very many dollars for me every time. Doctors say my baby must to have operation in hospital, must to cut her skin and close the circle, and then Maria will be well. So I work and work to make more money. Tonisha is señorita muy grande, you know what I mean? But she's soft like Maria in heart. She say, Manuel, you must have more machine. 3-4 machine is little money. Every day she stay 1 hour, 2 hours, 3. Teach me to be more fast, to work one, tie one, work one, tie one. Day, day, day. She helped me learn. Now see, I am as fast like Señorita Tonisha. I say to her, you watch out, I make more dollars than you. She smiled. For my family, Tonisha es regalo del Dios, gift of God. Now, at the very end of the production process in this particular mill is the woman who, now this is a textile, this is a t-shirt manufacturing business. And at this stage of the mill, all they're doing is making the t-shirts and they don't sew them together. Those operations have already left the country and gone down to Mexico or Haiti or wherever they go. And what they do is shrink wrap the torso pieces and the arm pieces and put them on a truck, and they send them down. So the very last process in the manufacturing process in this mill is the shrink wrapper. The shrink wrapping machine is not a very interesting machine. All you do is you hit that button. All day, hit the button. So what kind of person would operate a shrink wrap machine? This is who does. Velma. Her name's Velma, and this is Velma in packaging. If I could shrink wrap misery, I'd put in all 12 years with Roy, his bottles, lost paychecks, excuses, and that sorry boy turned out to be just like him. Pile the whole wad on this belt and run them through like a pack of torsos. Toss them on the truck to Jamaica or Mexico, wherever they're headed, as long as it's out of my life. Don't do nothing all day but wait for the loader to haul another batch from the cutter, drop it down on my table, hit that green button. Biggest thrill of all is slapping that sticker on the poly wrap, says what's in it. Boys M arm, men's L torso. Now and then I think I might mix it up for spite. Let them sew an S to an XL, something to ruin the whole order, but I ain't done it yet. 200,000 dozen t-shirts, they say this plant puts out a week. I shrink wrap every piece of cloth that's made. Boredom makes me crazy, so I think of the ifs. If I could shrink wrap my whole life, every summer I threw away on daddy's tobacco, not full grown at 15 and stooped like an old woman, yellow hands, tough as pig's hide. No wonder Roy's the best I could do. I'd shrink wrap Mama, her hateful ways, every afternoon of her fits. I'd shrink wrap school, that rat-haired Miss Roach with her yardstick whip. Beauty college, last full chance for a girl like me. I'd shrink wrap this mill and ship it off to Satan. Hell, I'd shrink wrap this shrink wrap machine. Only thing ain't misery is that 3 o'clock whistle. And I'm going to end with one. As I was even in the process of researching and writing these poems, mills started closing all around me, and operations started shipping out of the country. And I had created all these people with jobs, and all of a sudden my imaginary people were losing their jobs. So I had to then, again, sort of hold the microphone up to them and say, okay, what are you going to do now? And the result of that is one that I'm going to end with. Hers is, well, I'll let her tell her story. Her name is Sherry, and this is Sherry's prayer. I am 46 years of age and no education. Evenings I sit at the kitchen table studying fractions with my oldest grandbaby. Mrs. Wilkins at the college thinks I'll pass my GED first try, but then what, I ask her. I know I made the choice to start at the mill and end at the mill, but I guess you don't think what if when everything is going good. There was a time I thought I'd go to college, wanted to be a nurse. Can you believe it? Mrs. Wilkins says I still could, but I don't know if it's in me anymore. I won't ever forget that day the plant manager called us into the break room and told us it was over. We were let go, just like we were cattle turned out to pasture. 30 years I have operated a machine. I grew up in that mill. My family is in that mill, and all I care about, even if I should have known better. Can't eat regrets, I tell Maxie. He gives me them big moon eyes of his, slaps me on the fanny like he could make everything all right with a little lovin'. Can't eat lovin' neither, I tell Maxie. I never had trouble sleeping, but these days I lay awake half the night listening to Maxie snore, wondering what will become of us. I have learned to make one chicken last a week. If you study it and shop the sales, you'd be surprised what you can save at the grocery. I put in for jobs whenever I hear of openings. My check comes like clockwork every Tuesday. I've still got 3 months coming, more if I stay in school. Still, we are better than some. Maxie says we will make it to the other side. I pray every day one of us doesn't get sick, and that we will not lose this house we have worked so hard to have. God made the promise of the rainbow, and that is what I cling to right now, that God will not leave us with nothing. Thank you.
Our final performers for the evening are Al and Karen Dunkelman. Al is a sociology instructor at Cleveland Community College, and he is a skilled multi-instrumentalist playing guitar, clawhammer banjo, old-time fiddle, harmonica, and the upright bass. Karen is a social worker with Cleveland County Health Department, and tonight she will be accompanying Al. Al calls this his edu concert on Southern Mill Life. Please welcome Karen and Al.
It's an honor to be here and represent another facet of the mill diamond. We've looked at it, mill life, from many different perspectives. And what I'd like to do is we look at this image, kind of wraps up what we're doing. Is we'll be listening to some mill voices through song. And what attracted me to folk music in high school was that it was honest music. It was music of the common folk. It wasn't written to make money. And so I'm going to be sharing a couple of songs from a couple of folk song writers that really help us understand the cultural, sociological, and historical journal that individuals have written. We know the evolution of the textile mill industry, starting in England, came later to the New England, and later on to the New South. And this illustration, I don't know if you can see it very well, it says, giving the other fellow a chance. And so you've got New England and the New South with cheaper fuel, closer to the cotton and the textile industry. And at the bottom it says, here, hold on there, I'm your steady companion. And then, yes, but that doesn't mean I'm not to renew or receive the attention of a new suitor. And so we see the shift from New England to the New South, late 1800s. The queen of industry, New South. Maybe tap that. There we go. Okay. So we see a lot of these images of the smoke coming out of the smokestack, cotton close by, an old Glencoe mill illustration, Chihuahua cotton mills. I'm still learning and researching. As I moved to North Carolina, I was 21, mainly attracted to mountain music and the southern mountain culture. I moved to Watauga County near Boone, primarily because of reading the Foxfire books. I wanted to find out what's all that culture all about in the music. So I'd like to begin by talking about, we've already discussed or introduced, I think most of us would agree that we're appalled at third world countries throughout the world using children today to produce products. Some children even chained to their workstation going on today. All of us would certainly be appalled by that. But yet, as we've already discussed, this was a reality in America about 100 years ago. So I'd like to show you some images, not just within the cotton mill industry, but what are these children doing? What are those boys holding in their hands there? Those are oyster knives. These children spending all day, most likely on the East Coast, shucking oysters. So children were not just using the cotton mills, but in the oyster business. I mean, I can't hardly open an oyster myself with a knife. Can you imagine small, delicate children's hands? Pennsylvania and West Virginia, young boys especially used in the mining industry. And you think of the tender lungs of young boys and the conditions that they were exposed to. I'll be talking more about the photographer that has taken many of these images about 100 years ago. Newsies, they call them, newsboys in large cities selling newspapers, cigar factories, the bottle industry, glass blowing industry. Any type of industry, any product that was made, children were put to work. This image here, the giant master there saying greed, and the children behind the rows. And it says the galley, dedicated to the states where child labor is still permitted. Child labor exploiter, capitalists, and for sale to the highest bidder. And there's two children on the top. So this is a part of our America that we don't really realize went on. But in 1904, the Child Labor Committee was formed to try to reform and look after the well-being of children as it related to work when they're working. This boy lost an arm in the machine and received no compensation. So there was a real movement to try to bring about change within different factories of children. I'm going to be sharing a song that was written by a mill worker in just a moment, but this is the photographer, Lewis Hine. He came to the South in the late 1900, about 1908, and he had studied sociology in Chicago, New York City, and he wanted to use his camera to bring about social change. So we came down to the South, especially, was able to. It was the first time many people even saw a camera or had ever had their photograph taken. This is one of his more popular photos later on in the early 1920s. This boy you see here, a photograph that Hine took in 1908. And the boy's 15 there and had been in the mill for 8 years. So with some simple math, we see he had been working there since he was 7. And Hein just didn't take photographs. He made very detailed notes documenting the date. This young boy, when asked how long he had been at the mill, he says, been at it right smart, 2 years. He doesn't look even 10 years old. So Hein, actually these images were at the Dallas